Hello, student of class 11. Today we will read the English Hornbill from the book of Hornbill. Lesson first, The Portrait of a Lady, written by Khushwant Singh. My grandmother, like everybody's grandmother, was an old woman. She had been old and wrinkled for the 20 years that I had known her. People said that she had once been young and pretty and had even had a husband. But that was hard to believe. My grandfather's portrait hung above the mantelpiece in the drawing room. He wore a big turban and loose fitting clothes. His long white beard covered the best part of his chest, and he looked at least 100 years old. He did not look the sort of person who would have a wife or children. He looked as if he could only have lots and lots of grandchildren. As for my grandmother, being young and pretty, the thought was almost revolting. She often told us of the game she used to play as a child that seemed quite absurd and undignified on her part, and we treated it like the fables of the prophets she used to tell us. In this paragraph, in this passage, the writer is describing about her grandmother. It is written a biographical mode, and also he sketches the portrait of her grandmother. वो अपने दादी के बारे में बताते हैं कि इनका चेहरा किस हिसाब से था। लगभग 20 सालों से वो वैसे ही थी। She had always been short and fat and slightly bent. Her face was a criss-cross of wrinkles running from everywhere to everywhere. No, we were certain she had always been as we had known her, old, so terribly old that she could not have grown older and had stayed at the same age for 20 years. She could never have been pretty, but she always beautiful. She hobbled about the house in spotless white, with one hand resting on her waist to balance her stoop, and the other telling the beads of the rosary. Her silver locks were scattered untidily over her pale, puckered face. Her lips constantly moved a inaudible prayer. Yes, she was beautiful. She was like the winter landscape in the mountain, as sense of pure white serenity, breathing peace and contentment. The poet, the writer describes about her mother. She was pretty. She was not pretty, but she was always beautiful. Why? How? Because her eternal beauty. He is saying external and eternal beauty. Eternal beauty is something and external beauty is nothing. Without internal beauty, man cannot get anything. वो आंतरिक सुंदरता की बात करते हैं, बाहरी सुंदरता की नहीं। बाहरी सुंदरता तो कह रहे हैं कि इतनी बूढ़ी है कि और इससे ज्यादा बूढ़ी नहीं हो सकती है, लेकिन वो जो हर वक्त अपने मन में ऊँटों से अपनी माला जपती रहती हैं, वो उनकी सुंदरता की बात करते हैं। My grandmother and I were good friends. My parents left me with her when they went to live in the city, and we were constantly together. She used to wake me up in the morning and get me ready for school. She said her morning prayer in a monotonous sing-song while she bathed and dressed me, in the hope that I would listen and get to know it by heart. I listened because I loved her voice, but never bothered learn it. Then she would fetch my wooden slate which she had already washed and plastered with yellow chalk, a teeny earthen ink pot, and a red pen. Tie them all in the handle and hand it to me after a breakfast of a thick stale chapati with a little butter and sugar spread on it. We went to school. She carried several stale chapatis with her for the village dogs. The writer denoted about the friendship of her grandmother and she used to wake him up early in the morning and bathed and prepared for the school and plastered the, his wooden slate and take him many chapatis to feed the street dogs. My grandmother always went to school with me because the school was attached to the temple. The priest taught us the alphabet and the morning prayer while the children sat in rows on either side of the veranda singing the alphabet or the prayer in a chorus. My grandmother sat inside reading the scriptures. When we had both finished, we would walk back together. This time the village dogs would meet us at the temple door. They followed to our home, growling and fighting with each other for the chapatis we threw to them. To feed them, they threw the chapatis to the dogs. They fight together each other. When my parents were comparatively settled in the city, they sent for us. This was a turning point in our friendship. Although we shared the same room, my grandmother no longer came to school with me. I used to go to an English school in a motor bus. There were no dogs in the street, and she took to feeding sparrows in the courtyard of our city. Now, when the writer came in the city to read in English school, her grandmother didn't come to with him. As the year rolled by, we saw less of each other. For some time, she continued to wake me up and get me ready for school. When I came back, she would ask me what the teacher had taught me. I would tell her English words and little things of Western science and learning, the law, gravity, Archimedes, principle, the world being round, etc. This made her unhappy. She could not help me with my lesson. She did not believe in the things they taught at the English school and was distressed that there was no teaching about God and the scriptures. One day I announced that we were being given music lessons. She was very disturbed. To her, music had lewd associations. It was the monopoly of the harlots and beggars and not mean for gentlefolk. She said nothing, but her silence meant disapproval. She rarely talked to me after that. When his grandmother asked what had been taught today, he tells the writer tells him about the English words, Archimedes principles, law of gravity, and also one day he told about the music lessons. He said, "This is the work of harlots and beggars, not for the gentlefolk." When I went to university, I was given a room of my own. The common link of friendship was snapped. My grandmother accepted her seclusion with resignation. resignation. She rarely left her spinning wheels to talk to anyone from sunrise to sunset. She sat by her wheel spinning and reciting prayer. Only in the afternoon she relaxed for a while to feed the sparrows while she sat in the veranda baking the bread into little bits. Hundreds of little birds collected round her creating a variable bedlam of chirping. Some came and perched on her legs, others on her shoulders, some even sat on her head. She smiled but never shooed them away. It used to be the happiest happiest half hour of the day for her. When the writer went to the read in university, he has their own separate room. The common link of their friendship broken, broken. Grandmother always spinning, always accepted her son and spinning wheels, not to talk anyone. Only afternoon, half an hour, she used to feed the birds. When I decided to go abroad for further study, I was sure my grandmother would be upset. I would be away for 5 years, and at her age one could never tell. But my grandmother could. She was not even sentimental. She came to leave me at the railway station, but did not talk or show any emotion. Her lips moved in a prayer. Her mind was lost in prayer. Her fingers were busy telling the beads of rosary. Silently, she kissed my forehead, and then, when I left, I cherished the most imprint as perhaps the last sign of physical contact between us. When the writer went to the abroad, he came to this railway station and said nothing, only he kissed his forehead. But that was not so. After 5 years, I came back home and was met by her at the station. She did not look a day older. She still had no time for words, and while she clasped me in her arms, I could hear her reciting her prayers even on the first day of my arrival. Her happiest moments were with her sparrows home. She said longer and with frivolous rebukes. In the evening, a change came over her. She did not pray. She did not pray. She collected the women of the neighborhood, got an old drum and started to sing for several hours. She found the sons of sagging skins of the deflated drum and sung the homecoming of warriors. We had to pursue her to stop to avoid overstaying. That was the first time since I had known her that she did not pray. At the evening there came a change. She didn't pray. She began to collect the neighborhood women and began to sing for many hours and beating the drum. The next morning she was taken ill. It was a mild fever and the doctor told us that it would go. But my grandmother thought differently. She told us that her end was near. She said that since only a few hours before the close of the last chapter of her life, she had omitted to pray. She was not going to waste any time for talking to us. We protested but ignored our protest. She lay peacefully in bed, praying and telling her beads even before we could suspect. Her lips stopped moving and the rosary fell from her lifeless fingers. A peaceful pallor spread on her face, and we knew that she was dead. When the rosary beads fell from his lifeless fingers, the writer knew that she had no more. We lifted her off the bed, and it is the customary, laid her on the ground and covered with a red out after a few hours of morning. We left her alone to make arrangements for the funeral. In the evening, we went to her room with a crude stretcher to take her to cremated. The sun was setting and had light her room and veranda with a blaze of golden light. We stopped halfway in the courtyard, all over the veranda and in the room right up to where she lay, dead and stiff, wrapped in the red shroud. Thousands of sparrows sat scattered on the floor. There was no chirping. We felt sorry for the birds, and my mother has some bread for them. She broke it into little crumbs, and when my grandmother used to and threw it to them, the sparrows took no notice of the bread. When we carried my grandmother's corpse off, they flew away quietly. Next morning, the sweeper swept the bread crumbs into the dustbin. The thousands of the birds came to mourn at the last moment of the writer's grandmother. His mother gave some crumbs of the bread, but they didn't notice. And after some times more, the sparrows flew away. Now, see the summary of the lesson. This lesson is written in the first person and is in the biographical mode. In this story, the writer gives a detailed account of his grandmother with whom he had a long association. He recalls his grandmother, a short, fat and slightly bent. Her silver hair was scattered untidily on her wrinkled face. Writer remembers her as not very pretty, but always beautiful. During their long stay in the village, grandmother woke him up in the morning, plastered his wooden slate, prepared his breakfast, and escorted him to the school. The turning point in their relationship came when they went to live in city. Now the author went to a city school and studied English, law of gravity, Archimedes' principle, and many things. She was upset that there no teaching of God and scriptures at city school. Instead, he was given music lesson, which according to her was not meant for gentle folk. When author went to university, he was given a separate room. The common link for their friendship was snapped. When the author left for abroad, grandmother did not disturb. When he returned after a span of 5 years, grandmother was there to receive him. She celebrated the occasion by singing songs of homecoming of barriers. Next morning she got ill. She did not want to waste time talking to anyone, so lay peacefully in bed, praying. At last, the rosary fell from her fingers to mourn her death. Thousands of sparrows flew in and sat scattered around her body. Now, look the question. Now see the question. Number 1. How did the grandmother spend her whole day? How did the grandmother spend her whole day? The grandmother spent her whole day by getting her grandson for school, making chapatis for him and dropping him to school. Besides, she always remained busy in reciting prayer and telling the beads of her rosary. Second question. Why was the grandmother so disturbed when the author started going to the city school? The grandmother was religious lady who loved to read scriptures and tell the beads of the rosary. When her grandson told her about the subjects being taught at school, she felt offended. Now, from your book exercise, you have to complete your questions. Understanding to text, mention question number 1, 2, 3 and 4. You have to complete your homework. Now, your lesson has completed. Thank you.